Hello guys, welcome to another video here on day 5 of the advent of cyber on TryHackMe, and day 5 is SOC-mas XXE. Basically they're trying to say XXE, which we would get to know or understand here. Okay, now the story here is that let me zoom in a little bit in case this is not bold enough. Now the days in Wavell through buy and softwares projects were nearly complete, just in time for Christmas. One evening, after wrapping up, a software was strolling through the town when he came across a young boy looking dejected. Curious, software asked, "What would you like for Christmas?" The boy replied with a sigh, "I wish for a teddy bear. I wish for a teddy bear, but I know that my family can't afford one." Now, the brief conversation sparked an idea in Software's mind. What if there was a platform where everyone in town could share their Christmas wishes, and the mayor's office could help make them come true? Excited by the potential, Software introduced the idea to the mayor, Mayor Malware, who embraced it immediately. Now, the mayor encouraged the team to build a platform for the people of Wavell. Now, through the developers' dedication and effort, the platform was soon ready and it became an instant hit. Now, the townspeople loved it. However, in their rush to meet the holiday deadline, the team had overlooked something critical: thorough security testing. Okay, critical thorough security testing. Now, even Mayor Malware had chipped in to help develop a feature in the final hours. Now, it's up to you to ensure the application is secure and free of vulnerabilities. Can you guarantee the platform runs safely for the people of Wavell? Now, this is quite an interesting task or challenge because it involves doing a penetration test on web applications, which is more or less the the niche I am in, penetration testing. Okay, now the learning objective for this task is to understand the basic concept related to XML, which is what we call extensible markup language, explore XML External Entity, which is XXE, which is the vulnerability and its components, learn how to exploit the vulnerability and understand the remediation measures. Okay, now let's go through some important concepts quickly while we dive into the practical. Okay, now extensible markup language XML is a commonly used method to transport and store data in a structured format that humans and machines can easily understand. So if we have two computers that need to communicate with each other, they need to understand. You have to be like a common ground. So both devices need to agree on a common format for exchanging information. Now, this agreement format is now what we call the XML. Okay, now you can think of XML as a digital filing cabinet, just like as a filing cabinet has folders and label documents inside. XML uses tags to label and organize this information. Okay, now for instance, you can see if a particular let's say a particular XML language is taking in people, and these people has information. The information of these people could include the name of that person, the address, email, and the phone number. Okay, in order not to take or repeatedly always write the name is this, the address of the person is this, repeatedly using this, XML language comes in where we just write a particular code that could help solve that issue of repetition and also organization as well. Okay, now in this case, the tag, people, name, address are like folders in the filing cabinet, but now they store data about glitch. The content inside the tag, like glitch, Wavell 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, represent the actual data being stored. Like before, the key benefit of XML is that it is easily shareable and customizable, allowing you to create your own tags. Now let's go over document type definition. What is this? Now that the two computers have agreed to share data in a common format, what about the structure of the format? Here is when the DTD, which is the document type definition, comes into play. A DTD is a set of rules that define the structure of an XML document. Just like a database scheme, it acts like a blueprint, telling you what element tags and attributes are allowed in the XML file. Think of it as a guideline that ensures the XML document follows a specific structure. Okay, now for example, if you want to ensure that an XML document about people will always include the name, address, email, and phone number, we need to define those rules through a DTD as shown before, and using what we call these elements. Okay, so people would have name, address, email, and phone number, and the elements it's specifying the name, address, email, and phone number would have PC data. PC data stands for past data, meaning it will consist of just a plain text. Okay. Now, what is entities? So far, both computers have agreed on the format, the structure of the data, and the type of data that they will share. Now, entities in XMLs are placeholders that allow the insertion of large chunks of data or referencing internal or external files. Okay. Now, they assist in making XML file easy to manage, especially when the same data is represented or repeated multiple times. Now, entities can be defined internally within the XML document or externally, referencing data from the outside source. Okay, let's take for instance now in this particular example here where you saw address. Okay, but you want this address of glitch to be sourced from a different location, so there will now have entity coming to reference ext as an external from the system, and then it will be, so whenever this is run, when it gets to the address part, it will reference an ext to reference this entity by going to tryhackme.com/robots.txt, which is where it will go and pull up the data as the address. If that makes sense. Okay, now for instance, okay, if we have like http tryhackme.com/phone numbers is where you can see a phone number that belongs to glitch, but in this case you don't want to type 110.111.0.0.0. so in this case we would do entity ext system http://tryhackme.com/phone number. What will now happen is when this is run, when it gets to phone number, this part would now be written like this. Okay, so this part will now be written would now replace 111.0.0.0. so when it gets to phone number, it will run the est entity and it will go and reference this externally, and it will replace the 111.0.0. Now, with this being done, we are specifically discussing external entities because it is one of the main reasons that XXE is introduced if it is not properly managed. Now, what is this XXE particularly? Now, after understanding XML and how entities work, we can now explore the XXE vulnerability. XXE is an attack that takes advantage of how XML parsers handle external entities. When a web application processes an XML file that contains an external entity, the parser attempts to load or execute whatever resource the entity points to. Okay, now if necessary sanitization is not in place, the attacker may point this entity to any malicious source code, causing the undesirable behavior of the web application. Okay, now for example, if a vulnerable XML parser processes this external entity definition, it means entity will go to file and it will read out a file est password. What this is basically pulling out some important informations in a system like in Linux. Here, the entity and THM file that was replaced for address refers to the sensitive file etc password on a system, usually in Linux. When the XML is processed, the parser will try to load and display the content of that file, exposing the sensitive information to the attacker. That's what would happen as a form of address. Okay. Now, in the upcoming talks, we will examine how XXE works and how to exploit it. Without further ado, let's just get the machine started. And I'll not be using the attack box in this room. You need the attack box and the virtual machine. I'm going to be using the TryHackMe VPN, so I'll be using my machine to actually explore this. And I know vividly now that we'll be using Burp suite, which is it helps us to intercept requests and make some modifications. It adds like a middle party between the request you send and a server. So I'm going to just turn on my Burp suite and we can continue while the machine is also getting started. Okay, next. Okay, so basically when you're starting Burp suite, similarly if you have the attack box open and you're starting Burp suite, this is exactly what you see. The startup page, the welcome to Burp suite community edition, is going to be pointing to a temporary project in memory, so you just click next and it's going to say use Burp default. You just start Burp suite. Okay, now while that's loading, I think that yes, our machine and IP address is ready. So it will bring out, this is the first page of Burp suite, but it might say something like this. Just say okay. Now let's do some quick settings. All right, come over here to the top right side here, you see settings. Click on settings I want to make this particular display bigger. So you come to user interface around here, click on display, and you can see the appearance here. I'll increase the font size to like 16. I think that's big enough. That's big enough. Alright, next I also click on inspector and message editor so that the message editor box would also be bigger. So if you scroll down over here, you see the HTTP message display, which is what we'll be needing often. So we change the font and put it to 15 and hit OK. Now lastly, we want to click on Burb's browser. Alright, and Burp running, you click on allow Burb's browser to run without a sandbox. This is for us to be able to use the inbuilt browser on Burp Suite instead of using our own Firefox. That will enable us to easily do the challenge. So once we've turned that on and everything is running fine, we can now close. Okay, once we close, we just click on proxy here, enlarge this, and let's continue. First things first, we'll come back to this area here. The practical says, now that you understand the basic concept related to XML and XXE, we will analyze an application that allows users to view and add products to their carts and perform the checkout. Okay, checkout activities. You can access this web view application hosted on this. So I'll just copy this address. All right, copy, and let's just open here. Since I'm using the VPN, it should load on my machine's browser. So first things first, I just want to, as a penetration tester, the first thing you want to do is to try to go through the website and see what happens. Over here we see it's a wish view. There's home, there's product, and there's cart. On the home, you can view Wevy's Jelly Carb, Teddy of the. You can view anything here, and when you click on view, it takes you particularly to that product, which is the next option you see here, product. And those products have IDs. Okay, under product.php question ID 3. Okay, so you can click add to wish list, and it will tell you item added to the wish list. And for you to do that, to see what was added to the wish list, you can come over to cart here. Under cart, you can see proceed to checkout, and it's going to ask you for your name. You just put name, address. You can do 222 address, and then you can complete the checkout. Okay, once you do that, it will now say wish successful. Your wish has been saved as wish 21. Okay, now being curious, you could want to click on this wish 21, and it's going to take you to somewhere, and it says error data Santa's elves are the only one who can read the wishes, which means that this is specifically maybe for the admins to read. So haven't gone through the basic things that this application would do. Now we'll head on to our Burp Suite. Over here on proxy, you see open browser. So let's open the default browser. You can either do it here or here. Now there are two ways to do this. You could actually turn on the intercept, and what this would do is whichever page you load will be intercepted, and you'd have to come to forward it or do something with it. But in order to just save us time, you just open the browser. When you open the browser, let's wait for it to load. Okay, so we have this here. Once you open the browser and we load this particular wish view application, whatever we do here, whatever loads here will be we'll find them later here under history. For instance, now if I click on HTTP history, you see just the first thing we ran, wish view home, is already appearing here. Okay, so if I go back here and click on view for number one, whatever thing you saw, this 10.10.102.170/product.php ID equals to 1. If you come back to here, you would find it here as well. You see product.php. Can you see it here? Okay, so whatever thing we're doing on that website is being intercepted and kept on the HTTP history. Now let's go ahead and operate everything. Add to wish list. Once we've added to the wish list, we can click on cart and then proceed to checkout, and we can type our name here. You can type me, and you can type the address is 5555 or whatever. Complete the checkout. Okay, now this last one here, you can actually view it as well. You repeat that again, click on that again, it loads. So we've basically done everything the website can do. Now if we come back to our history, we want to find things that are quite interesting here. So if we scroll down, we can start checking out all those intercepts and see if anything we'll find anything interesting. Okay, now we see there's a post request here that says /wishlist.php. And what can we notice? We can notice something that looks like what? An XML code. If you recall, when we studied here and we went through some of this, you can see how it looks like the XML code here. Yes, you can see it takes in name, address, email, and in our case here, it's taking in wish list, and then it's taking in user ID, item, and product ID. Now you can go ahead and check other things as well, and even the wish list and so on and so forth. So but this is the fascinating part. Since we can see an XML here, the first thing that comes to mind is let's try to test it for XXE and see if it's vulnerable to it. The first thing we can do here is to Control R, or you can right click on this and send it to repeater, or you can just click Control R. When you click Control R, what this does is it's going to send this to repeater. The repeater here on Burp suite will allow us to run this request multiple times without having to intercept the request all the time. Okay, so now initially when we run this send, this is what it's going to do. It's going to tell you that item added to your wish list successfully, which is the item for product number 1. So in order for us to actually run this, we can now copy this payload. We'll copy this payload here. Let's use this exact payload that was here. We'll come over here and we'll replace this particular code right here. Okay, so more or less it's the same code, but this time around we're going to in this case, instead of the product ID equals to 1, it was replaced with the payload, which is used by its AND payload. Okay, so if we run this, as you can see, we're able to get a request. The product ID is giving us what? The etc host. You can change this to pass to view us the password file on the system. If we hit send again, as you can see, we have some informations from the machine right here. Okay, now having seen this, now we can actually confirm that this is vulnerable to XXE, and since it's vulnerable to XXE, we can take advantage of this to see to be able to see the wish list that we can't see, everyone's wish list. Okay, so we're able to see everyone's wish list, and in order to do this now, what we need to understand is that based on standard design, the informations of a system or of a website is stored in var.html. Okay, this is not all web applications use the part, but most applications use it, var.html. So if we can do this, we can replace our new payload with this location, and then add this wish list location, which starts from wishes and wish_21.txt. Once I copy that, I'm going to come over here and type var.html, and then I'll paste that. Okay, I'll paste that. All right, am I forgetting something? Yes, over here I can put a /. So what would this do in terms of our payload? It will now replace it with this, whatever that is in this directory. So I can send here. Something is wrong. Let me see here. All right, I didn't add this with a quotation mark, all these small mistakes. So it started with a quotation here, and it should end with a quotation. All right, so I'll send this again, and voila, we're able to get the wish for 22 is name, mem, address 666, wavy, jolly cap. And so we're able to see the person's wish. Okay, if you change this to 20 and send, we're going to see someone else. Okay, invalid, ID is invalid. So let's try something like 1 and send. Okay, so we got wish 1 mail malware test, and so on and so forth. Now I was curious, I wanted to see if I go back to wishes as a whole, all right, to see if I can see all the wishes at once. If I click send, let me see if it will bring out everything. No, invalid. So I have to specify the wish. So let me paste that back again. Let me see here. Okay, All right, let me use 19 and be sure it's working again. Send. All right, great. Now there's a normal way for us to actually start answering all the questions in the to answer the questions. The first question said, what's the flag discovered after navigating through the wishes? In order to do this, what we could actually try is basically to force. We can keep trying to reading 1, 2, 3, but we can automate this search. And in order to do this, we can send this request to intruder. This option in Burp Suite helps you to force a particular request. Now, where are we forcing? We are forcing this as a particular part where it has numbers. Okay, so I'm going to add a tag to it. Add. So it's going to force through this, and we're going to be using the attack type sniper. It's a simple, it's just going to reiterate through our payload. Next thing is go to our payload. We're going to use a simple payload, simple list. Not simple list, we're going to use numbers. So we want to run from 1, and mine was 22, I believe, right? Yes, or we can just run it to 20. Okay, let's see 22. All right, with that said, we can now just start our attack. Okay, payload set invalid number settings. Let me see here, go back. Let's see. Okay, from yes, sorry, from 1 to 22. Okay, the steps is 1. Let's see, that should be it, I believe. So from 1 to 22, step 1. Let me see. Okay, now it should start running, and I'll click it's just a normal option to let us know we are using the demo version of Burp Intruder. Just click OK, and it's running 12 of 22. Once it's done, we'll be able to see each of these. So for instance, if I click on this first one while it's still running, we can see let me see here. Yes, let me see. Okay, the response, sorry, the response, this is the request, this is the response. If I click on 2, we can see wish list number 2. 3, we can see wish list number 3. 4, 5, 6, and so on. Let me see here. Okay, you can see on 15 we have the flag on 15. Okay, so this is finished, but as you can see, this is a quicker way to automate it instead of checking it one by one. So we can copy our flag. Once you copy our flag, we can come back to TryHackMe here and paste our flag and hit submit. Okay, good. Now, what is the flag seen on the possible proof of sabotage? Now, over here, after discovering the vulnerability, we know that Masgidi immediately remembered that a changelog file exists within the web application stored in the following endpoint. So we just copy this or open this in a new tab, and if we zoom in here, we can see fix the wishlist.php, and this is the flag that is found there. All right, this code or commit file can actually give us more information about what was done, but this is what we need, just the flag. So we'll come back here, and then we can paste this here and hit submit. All right, we're almost done. If you want to learn more about the XXE injection attack, check the XXE room, it will be beneficial. And then following Masgidi's advice, software recently hardened the server. It used to have many unneeded open ports, but not anymore. Not that this matters anyway. You just close that, and that brings us to the end of the room. Basically, thank you guys for studying with me. Thank you guys for learning with me today. I'll see you guys for day 6, and enjoy. Ciao.